YouTube? Welcome back to another Dart Frog adventure. I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming back and watching another video. That means so much to me. You guys are awesome. So tonight's video, we're going to be talking more about the Poltergeist House. So I don't know if you noticed the thumbnails for the Poltergeist House and or just whenever I show the house for the Poltergeist House in my videos. Of course, that's really not the actual real house I lived in. It's just, showing like a scary house saying, this is the Poltergeist House. But I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, I like to put Easter eggs in my videos from time to time. So far, nobody's ever picked up on that. I've had to point them out, and or people just didn't know that they existed. But there happens to be an Easter egg in the Poltergeist house. Like I was saying, I don't know if you've ever noticed that the houses, as you see each house from each video that I've done, the houses have gotten progressively more ran down. Which will bring me to my next point after I get to the end of the stories tonight with the Poltergeist house. Like I put an Easter egg in my Crybaby Bridge video too. It's when we go under the bridge, when there's all the graffiti that's under the bridge and everything, I pause the video, and all of a sudden when I pause the video, you see like a little section, it zooms in, and on some of the graffiti it says R.I.P. Rest in peace, Ellis Anderson, which happened to be a little kid that was rumored to have been hit by that car and thrown into that river there at Bear River, which is also part of the legend of that bridge over there at Bear River. We are probably going to try to do that video again here soon, probably like spring once the weather starts breaking and it starts getting a little bit nicer out. I'm not sure exactly how many videos Yemi and I will be doing here soon or not. Don't know. Like I said, I just thought I'd bring you guys another story about the Poltergeist house. You guys seem to really like that. So, like I said, let's go ahead and start talking about the Poltergeist house a little bit. So with the Poltergeist house, the people that had rented that house before us, I had happened to go to school with one of the renters. She was a year ahead of me in high school. She was always kind of a strange girl. She's always kind of out there. I had heard through the coconut grapevine that they had played with a Ouija board in that house that we had rented, which wouldn't surprise me because some really strange stuff happened there. So guaranteed they probably unlocked something bad. Like I said, I think it was the first Poltergeist house video. As we stayed there, it just progressively kept getting worse and worse and worse, and the house kept getting a little bit more violent. So we had ended up staying in that house for probably about 6 months or so. But yeah, like I said, I still got another video or so. I don't know how many more videos I'm going to do on the Poltergeist house. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep bringing you a couple more stories from that Poltergeist house. Got some for tonight. You guys really seem to like the stories from Poltergeist house. Thank you guys very much for that. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. So that's why I'm kind of doing a few more videos. I was already planning on kind of ending this one, but I think I'll do another video. Like I said, I was thinking about probably ending it with this video segment, but I think I might do one more or maybe 2 more videos for you guys. Don't know. Depends on how many likes I get on this video, if I'm going to do another one. But like I was saying earlier with the Easter eggs in my videos, stay tuned to the end of this video and I'll tell you why the house kept getting progressively worse. So let's go ahead and get into the story. So it's been about a month and a half, maybe 2 months now at this point. Altogether, I had 3 other roommates besides myself. So roommate 1 is my good friend. He's been with me from the get-go in the stories and everything. He was from the get-go at the house with me. Roommate 3 would kind of bounce in and out a little bit. He was there often enough. And then we had another roommate that was hardly ever there because he was getting ready to go into the military. So he had pretty much just like left his stuff at our house, and he was kind of, hanging out with his mom and his brother, and he'd stop by and hang out with us from time to time. He kind of sort of didn't really live with us for like the first month and a half to 2 months. Like I said, now it's been about a month and a half, 2 months, and my first roommate and I have been in this house the entire time, and our third roommate had kind of come in a little bit. So our third roommate's finally, settled into the house. But he's been squirming. He thinks that there's something going on with the house and everything. So he's been kind of staying with his mom for a little bit. So my first roommate and I had a set of golf clubs. So since him and I really liked miniature golf, we set up this little miniature golf putt course in our front living room. I'll put up a photo of how our living room and everything's laid out so you guys can see that. But since I had the set of golf clubs, we decided it'd be a good idea to go ahead and set up like a miniature golf course inside of our living room because we had a big long living room and everything. And so we're sitting there playing miniature golf, and the point of miniature golf is not to hit it so hard that you're sending it through like a window or a wall or something like that, So we're just kind of tapping it around and everything, and all of a sudden the door comes flying open. Bam! We look up. It's our second roommate. He's finally come back, and he looks in, stops around, he looks around. He sees the mounts on the wall, and he goes, "Hi." He's like, "I like what you guys have done with the place." So the first thing he does, once he gets into this house, and after he shuts the door, he's like, "Is your cat here?" And like I said, our second roommate, he had stayed with us a night or two from time to time, the entire time that we've been in this house already. And he's like, "Is your cat here?" I'm like, "Yeah." So all my friends know that I usually train my cats by whistles. I can whistle and my cat will come running, kind of like a dog. So my friend, second roommate, he starts whistling for my cat. My cat comes running out of the bedroom, and she absolutely loves him because every time he'd come by, he always had like a little bag of nip for her. And I'm like, I was like, "Yeah, you're the nip dealer." I was like, "Of course she's gonna love you, dude." And so we're sitting there, and we get to talking for a little while, and so we hear this, bam! It comes from the garage, and it's daytime. We're like, okay, what the heck? What's going on? And so we look at our second roommate. We're like, "Did you bring anybody with you?" He's like, "No, it's just me." And he's like, "What was that?" It's like, my first roommate and I were like, "We don't know." And so we get the talking with the second one, and the second roommate goes, "Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll walk through the kitchen and I'll check the garage. I'll open up the back door, check the garage from the kitchen. Well, you two guys go out, one go around the side of the house and then one go around that side of the house, see if we can kind of flank somebody out and see if there's somebody messing around." So roommate one and I, my first roommate and I, we go outside. My friend, he goes around one side of the house. I go around the other side of the house. And at the back of our house, there's like a really skinny like walkway in between the hill and the back of the house. So, I mean, it's not super hard to get on top of the house from this little bit of a section behind the house. I kid you not, it's just barely wide enough to walk through. So the hill will be right here and the house will be right here. And the roof would be like right about here standing up. So if I'm standing up, the roof would be about that high to me. And of course, go around the house and it turns into your like one-story house. So my first roommate and I, we meet up at the back of the house. And we're like, okay, well, there's nobody back here. Let's check on the roof real fast. Because that's another story. I'll probably tell you that one in the next video. So we get on the roof and we're looking around. There's nothing up there. There's nobody up there except for our couch. Which, that's a funny story. I'll tell you that in the next video. So anyhow, we climb back down. We get back in the house and we start catching up and talking with our second roommate, So we ask him, like, "What was that sound?" He's like, I don't know. He's like, "I couldn't see anything out in the garage, that like if anything fell over or, if somebody was out there messing around. Don't know." So now that our second roommate is finally kind of coming in and getting settled in the house, it's getting kind of later in the afternoon. He shows up late in the afternoon. So we have a game room that's on this side of the house. Like I said, it's like kind of a long, skinny living room. And we have the movie room down here. And the front door comes in right here, goes straight through into the kitchen. And then you have a bedroom, my bedroom, and then the garage sits behind all of that. So roommate 2, he's wanting to play some video games, and we have the video games over in the game section, which is kind of cool because my mom had worked at she had worked at some motels, and the motel was remodeling their rooms and everything. So they're getting rid of a bunch of stuff like TVs, TV stands, couches, whatnot. They're getting rid of some really cool stuff. So I was able to furnish our house pretty cool with a bunch of stuff from the hotel that they were getting rid of. So I had gotten like this TV stand, And it's one of those old motel TV stands that have the hands that come out and the TV sits here. So you just kind of rotate the TV whichever direction. So we mounted that on the wall on our game side, so we could play our games and kind of turn the TV, and everybody's sitting over there playing a game and whatnot. And as we're sitting there playing this game, all of a sudden, roommate one, because like how we're sitting is the TV's sitting like right here in front of us. We have a couch and another couch plus the window, and then the front door is over here behind us. So I'm sitting on the couch looking at the TV. Other roommate's sitting on the couch here looking at TV playing a game. My other roommate's sitting in a chair, so there's like the end of the couch, like a little bit of a walk spot, the chair, and then the door to the bedroom. So he's basically sitting up against the door to the bedroom. So we're sitting there playing this game, and our roommate is sitting over by the bedroom and kind of in by the kitchen and stuff like that. He just what the heck was that? And he like looks over towards the other side of our living room, which was our movie side. That's where we had all of our speakers and all of our entertainment center and stuff like that, plus our other two couches by the windows and whatnot. So he like looked over there and he's like, what is going on? And so that caught our attention, mine and the other roommate's attention. And we're like, what happened? What'd you see? And he goes, I don't know. He's like, I just saw like this big shadow. And he's like, then I heard this flunk. So after we got him calmed down for a second, we all get up and we walk over to the living room, the other side of the living room, to the movie part of our living room. And the boar's head had fallen off the wall and hit the floor. So we're thinking that's probably what the shadow that he saw. And roommate one's like, no, I didn't see the boar's head fall at all. He's like, I didn't even know that it had fallen off. He's like, the shadow I saw was like big and went like right into your room. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't know what that could have been, And so anyhow, we go ahead and we kind of try to put the boar's head back up on the wall, but it had like the mount that was holding the boar's head onto the wall had ripped completely out of the wall. And we had a pretty good leg bolt in one of the studs, and it had pulled out from the stud. We weren't sure how that happened. I mean, that boar's head was heavy, but it wasn't that heavy. If you were to look at our living room, the way that we had it set up is we had like you come in through the front door, you take a left and you go into the living room where we had the movies and stuff. My room was over here, the bathroom was here, and then the kitchen was here. So we had the boar's head on the wall here, we had a deer's head on the wall over here, and then we had the ducks up above the deer head. They weren't up above the deer head anymore because Nerl got a hold of them. But so now what we had left on the wall was the boar's head above basically like the TV area, and then we had the deer's head, and pretty much just reminiscence or remains of the mallards that were on the wall up there. But anyhow, yeah. So when that boar's head come down, it made a good sound. I heard something. I just thought like something fell over, and I was right. It was a boar's head that fell off the wall. So by about this time, it's well into the night. Still kind of early, but well into the night. Our second roommate still doesn't know anything that's going on. So like I said, we weren't too tripped out about the boar's head falling off the wall, but we were just confused on why it fell off the wall. So we weren't really able to put the boar's head back up that night. But what was crazy is, like I said, it's probably early in the night, like I'd say probably 8 or 9 o'clock area. And the crazy thing is, from time to time, I'd hear, because my room was the garage would go right behind my room. So the back wall of my room was to the garage, and then outside wall to the outside of the house, and the inside walls to the bathroom. But from time to time, when I was in my room, I could hear stuff moving around out in the garage. Chairs were to slide across the floor. I'd hear stuff like that. Sometimes I'd even hear scratches on the wall and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, maybe just rodents or something, just critters playing out there. They're mice in between the wall or something, Like I was saying, we didn't really tell our second roommate that there's something going on in the house. We probably should have. But, we figured he's going to find out soon enough anyhow if he's to stay there any length of time with us. And so later that night, it's getting kind of late. We've already taken care of the boar's head and stuff like that. And it's probably getting, I'd say probably around about midnight at this point. And so we start hearing some more bangs out in the garage, like boom, 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 out in the garage. So we're, kind of wondering what's going on. And we're thinking, somebody's out there messing around. So instead of us, separating, going out and walking around the house, getting like that, all three of us just went into the garage. We opened up the door, looked in the garage. Nothing was going on. So we're like, okay, what the heck? And so we're like, okay, well, since we're all out here in the garage and everything, we might as well just hang out here in the garage and see if maybe something happens while we're out here in the garage. So we're like, okay, like I said, it's probably about 11, 12 o'clock, maybe 1, so late in the night. So, we're all hanging out in the garage, just kind of talking, doing our thing, hanging out. And we're probably out there for 30 minutes or so. And, we're just going on talking about how the day is and just catching up with our second roommate because he's a good friend of ours and we hadn't seen him for a while. Like I said, he's getting ready to take off to the military and whatnot. So as we're talking, all of a sudden we hear this really BAM! Like really loud slam on the garage door. We all jump. We're like, what the heck? So my second roommate and my first roommate go barreling back into the kitchen. They go back inside the house. They go barreling out the front door, and they come running around to the side of the house because they think somebody's out there messing around. And both my first roommate and my second roommate, my first roommate was also in the military, and the second roommate was getting ready to go off to the military. So they both had ran outside the house and went towards the garage door. And so as soon as they get to the garage door, I open the garage door, and we all just kind of meet there at the same time. And I'm like, what? I was like, did you guys see what the hell happened? I was like, what was that? And they're like, we don't know. There was nothing here. There's nobody out here. There's no cars in the driveway. There's nothing. There's no reason why that door should have slammed that hard. It sounded like someone took a rock or a big log and just threw it against that door. It's one of those aluminum doors that you pick up, and it's kind of a flimsy door. So, like I said, never locked or anything like that. But yeah, to have that loud bang all of a sudden, it scared us. It made us jump out of our skin. We were wondering what the heck was going on, type of stuff. So we're looking on top of the house. We're looking around the house. There's nothing out there. So after I catch up with the roommates and everything, we realize that there's nobody there, and we can't explain why there's a loud bang or slam on the side of our door. We just thought, somebody had ran up, hit it really fast, and then took off running, type of thing. So we just kind of played off to that. So, we end up going to bed and everything, and I'm off in my room. And it's late in the night, and we hear some stuff shuffling out in the living room area. Well, the way we had the sleeping arrangements were set up is our second roommate, he's sleeping on the couch right out in front of my room. So I'm in my room, and the first roommate is staying in the bedroom with the third roommate, but the third roommate's not there yet, so he's staying in their bedroom. And so I'm like, okay, somebody's ratting around, somebody's getting a snack or something like that. So I don't pay too much attention to it. So I start hearing like tap, 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 tap on the bathroom wall, because the way my room is set up, I have my door over here, I have my window here, there's a window to the garage, but it's kind of up high, got the wall that's to the garage, and then this wall over here would be the wall to the bathroom. And I got my bed set against this back wall and the wall here to the bathroom side, and I'm hearing tap, 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 and they're getting a little bit louder and a little bit louder and a little bit louder each time they tap. And I hear about 3 or 4 taps, and then it stops. I'm like, okay, somebody's in the bathroom messing around. So I'm sitting there, I'm waiting to hear if, they're going to flush the toilet, or, because I can hear a lot of stuff that happens in the bathroom because it's not a very thick wall. So I'm, waiting to hear if there's, some rustling going to happen in the bathroom or nothing. And so I'm sitting there, it's quiet. I don't hear anything, it's just super quiet. So I'm like, okay. I was like, maybe, like I said, maybe someone's just messing around, because we were always jacking with each other quite often. So about 10 minutes goes by. I hear tap, 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 tap again 3 or 4 times. But this time it was going down the wall like this towards the garage, and it just it started out quiet and got a little bit louder and a little bit louder and then a little bit louder. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, so I'm thinking someone's in the bathroom messing around because it's getting to basically the edge of the wall where, they can't go any farther down the wall. Otherwise, he'd be in the garage, basically. So I get up real quick, and I'm trying to be sneaky. So I always keep my door just kind of cracked open for my cat to be able to run in and out of my room. So I carefully open up the door, make sure I don't turn on a light or anything like that. So I kind of look out at my bedroom window or my bedroom door, and I see my second roommate. He's sound asleep on the couch. I can hear him snoring now, and so I'm like, okay. I walk out of my room towards the bathroom, open up the door, and there's nobody in the bathroom. The light's off. It's black. My other roommate, he's sleeping in his room. So I'm like, what the hell? And so at this time, my cat finally comes out from, I think she was crashed out with my second roommate. So she's finally, like I said, it's dark. So I'm in between the bathroom and my bedroom, getting ready to go back to my bedroom. And my cat's sitting there, around my legs, and she's kind of rubbing up against me and stuff like that. So I'm like, so I thought it was maybe Normal making the noise. All of a sudden, Normal starts going, and she starts swatting at something in the air. And it's right in front of me, basically. And she's jumping, swatting at something. I'm like, what is going on? I thought that was some strong catnip she was on or something. So I didn't think too much of it. I go back and I jump in my bed. And so I'm laying in bed, probably 30, 40 minutes later. I just barely dozed off. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. I start hearing scratches, and they're coming from inside the garage on the wall towards the garage. I'm like, okay. I was like, what in the hell is going on? Because I can hear scratches. I mean, good, solid, strong scratches. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's a rodent or something in the wall. So it didn't bug me. I didn't pay attention to it too much. So the next morning comes. I finally get to sleep that night. Next morning comes around. I tell my roommates what were happening. I told them about the knocks that are on the bathroom wall and everything. I asked them, I was like, did you guys get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or, were you guys screwing around, basically? They're like, no. And which I believe, because, like I said, my second roommate was on the couch. I saw him just crashed out, so I know he didn't do it. And or it'd be really difficult for him to sneak by without laughing, because, like I said, we were always jacking with each other. So I asked this first roommate, and he's like, no, I was in my room sound asleep. He's like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, but I've heard tapping and stuff like that from when I was in the bathroom. He's like, I thought it was you. He's like, I've heard it on that wall too. I was like, no, I've never tapped on that wall while you've been in the bathroom. So he's like, oh, I've heard that too. So I got to telling him about the scratches and stuff that I heard out on the back wall towards the garage and everything. And he thought the same thing. I thought, okay, maybe it's animals inside the wall, like a mouse or something inside the wall, or just scurrying around doing something dumb. It's the morning of the second day. Our second roommate had just finally got back, and he was hanging out with us for a little bit. His plan was to hang out with us until he went off to the military. So he was planning on staying with us for, basically the remainder of the time, which it was probably going to be probably 3 or 4 weeks before he took off to the military. So he's like, I'll go ahead and stay with you guys for this last month, and then when I head off to the military, he's like, I'll go ahead and catch up on rent with you guys and all this other fun stuff. So we're like, okay, let's just hang out, play some games, watch some movies. We're all off, we don't have to go to work or anything like that. Nobody's working that day. So we're like, okay, let's go ahead and, break out the golf clubs, and we'll play some miniature golf in the house again. And so we're like, okay, that's fine and everything. So we're kind of messing around, playing miniature golf in the house. And we hear this knock on the front door. So we're like, okay. So we go up to the front door. It happens to be the chief of police. He loved us. So he was sitting there telling us, town has this new ordinance. You can't have anything outside on your front patio. You can't have washers or couches or, TVs or anything like that. Well, we happen to have one couch out on our walkway. That was it. That's the only thing outside of our house is one couch. Because we'd like to go outside, hang out and drink some beers and stuff out on the front. Because like I said, our neighborhood, it was a summertime neighborhood. So nobody was there during the fall and even sometimes in the summer, just I think they were timeshare homes. Not sure, but like this, we had this whole cul-de-sac basically to ourselves. There's a few other houses there with nobody in them, so we're just like the only ones on the block. So we could be as noisy as we wanted, uh, throw parties if we wanted. Nobody would like call us in or complain or anything like that. But this chief of police, he really didn't like us for some reason. So he's always coming by and harassing us. And he's telling us, you can't have this couch out on the walkway in front of your house. You gotta get rid of the couch. You gotta do something with the couch. So my roommate and I, roommate one and I, and we go like, okay, whatever. We'll move the couch. Just go away. We'll move the couch. And so we come back in, get talking to the second roommate. So one of us comes up with this bright idea. All right, well, since the couch can't be out in front of the house, he never said anything about it being on top of the house. So anyhow, we take the couch, and like I said, it's real easy to get on top of our house. We take the couch around the back of the, over by the garage, up into the little section. And once you get it up there by the garage area, I mean, it's like, when you're standing there, it's like knee level. So that's how we're always getting the deer and stuff up on our roof and whatnot. So we're like, okay, let's take the couch, we'll climb up, we'll put it on top of the roof, out towards the front of the house. So we're sitting up there, and we're drinking some beers and shooting the BB gun and stuff like that. And so we had them all in our Gatorade bottles and stuff like that, so the cop couldn't really say anything about it when we were hanging out there. He didn't really notice anything. So he drives by as we're shooting pop cans in the front yard with the BB gun. So we just wave. He gives us the dirtiest look ever. Oh, it was hilarious. That was like one of the best times we've had in that house. Putting the couch on the roof, shooting BB guns as the chief of police drives by. He didn't really like us that much at all. But, so anyhow, after that happens, it's later in the afternoon. So we're like, okay, he's probably going to come back, harass us at some point. He always does. He always did. Just over really stupid stuff. He's always harassing us. So we go ahead and we go back in the house, and our second roommate, he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and head back up to the other town over where my mom and brother's at. I'm going to stay with my mom and brother for tonight and whatnot. So roommate one and myself, we're like, okay, that's fine, that's cool. Go ahead and hang out with your ma and everything. He's like, I'm just going to stay there for the night. He's like, I'll be back tomorrow night. So we're like, okay, that's cool and everything. So we go ahead. He takes off. My roommate, first roommate and I, we go and we just do our thing, have some fun, watch some movies, play some games. Not much happened that night after our second roommate had left to go back to his mom's house. Usually, like, the activity would only really seem to happen when our other two roommates would come in. It's kind of strange because, like, the activity happened so much when my first roommate and I were in the house that we just kind of ignored it. We just didn't really acknowledge it in any way, shape, or form. So it never really, like, stirred up when him and I were there. Now, if, like, one of us was there, like, say, if he was there, then something would happen. Or if I was there by myself, then something would happen. So we're like, okay, so we watched some movies for the rest of that night. And come the third day, our roommate's finally coming back on the third day. And so we're hanging out. We do all our stuff for the day. And it's probably somewhere around 8, 9 o'clock on the third night when the roommate's there. So we're over on the movie side of the living room watching TVs and movies and whatnot. And we have our stereo system going, and, we can hear the good bass from the movie, and, our theater is going on, basically. So the way we were sitting is I had a chair, like a love seat chair, in the corner of the room before my door, but at the end of in the corner of the living room. It's like corner of the living room, my door, a little bit of a walk space, and then the bathroom door. So there was like basically enough room between my room and the bathroom to put like a tower speaker. That was about it. So if you come out of my room, then there's the end of the couch right here and the couch. So the two roommates were sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting in the chair watching TV and everything. And so anyhow, I'm like sitting there watching this TV, and I catch movement out of the corner of my eye. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm looking over, and it's right there where the deer's head's at. And I'm like sitting there looking at the deer's head for a minute. Okay, nothing weird about that, just moving out of the corner of my eye. Go back to watching the movie. And so, sitting there watching for a little bit longer, probably 15 minutes or so, I catch movement out of the corner of my eye again. Look over, and the stupid deer again. So I'm sitting there looking at the deer. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's a stupid deer mount. Okay, whatever. So I go back to watching the movie. Sure enough, about 5-10 minutes later, I catch movement out of the corner of my eye again. So this time I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to look. I don't care. I know it's going to be the same damn thing, just nothing. So I don't look. I'm just paying attention to the movie. And kind of quiet for another minute or two. And all of a sudden we hear this. It's really strange. My two roommates jumped up. I jumped up. We're like, what the hell was that? And we're looking around the house because it sounded like it was right behind the damn couch. And we're looking around. Nothing. We can't figure out what the hell made this weird sound. We're like, what the hell? And, so we're sitting there looking. And my second roommate, the one that had just barely come back in, he's looking at the mount on the wall, the deer mount. And he's sitting there looking at it. I notice him looking at it, and then my first roommate notices him looking at it because he's just standing there like dumbfounded looking at this freaking. He looks like a deer in headlights, basically. So he's standing there looking at this deer mount on the wall, and we all look at the deer mount, and we're like, we ask our second roommate, what's going on? Why are you looking at the? He's like, I could have swore I saw his eyes move. I was like, it's a mount, dude. I was like, it doesn't matter where you walk, it looks like the eyes are looking at you. He's like, no. He's like, it looked like the eyes were moving. He's like, it looked like they actually physically moved, like how a deer's eye would move if it was alive. And we're like, no. We're like, we know strange stuff happens in the house, but that is just really strange, So he's like, I swear. He's like, I swear it moved. So we sit there and we look at the deer for a little bit. Nothing happens. We're like, okay, well, let's just go back to watching the movie and everything. So he's like, okay, fine, whatever. So we go back to watching the movie. And it's just an action movie, nothing wazoo or anything like that. So we're watching the movie. All of a sudden, our second roommate, just like jumps up, turns around, and he's like, okay. He's like, something is going on in this effing house. And so the first roommate and I look at each other, we're like, yeah, we think this house has paranormal activity, bro, or poltergeist activity or something like that. We think it's haunted. And he's like, yeah, well, he's like, I kind of believe that now. And we're like, why? What happened? He's like, well, he's like, this is crazy. So he's like, well, I'm sitting there. I hear something in my ear, like say something. It was like somebody had muffled, like was talking, but it was like so muffled I couldn't make it out. And he's like, I know it wasn't the other roommate sitting next to me because I could see him quite well. And the other roommate sitting there, just kind of watching TV, and like they're a ways away from each other. Look, one's on this end of the couch, the other one's on the other end of the couch. So he's like, I know it wasn't the other roommate, talking at me. He's like, okay. He's like, that's not what freaked me out. He's like, what freaked me out is something touched me on my neck. Pretty much like what happened to one of our friends that was sitting in the exact same spot when he had something that touched him in the back of the neck and he heard that sound in his ear. He got up and ran out and, took off. He didn't come back to our house after that. Our second roommate experienced the same darn thing. So we're like, okay, something is going on in this house. So anyhow, I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping down this story. Like I said, I got some more stories on the Poltergeist House. I'll probably bring you guys one more video on the Poltergeist House and whatnot. But if you guys like these videos, most definitely hit like. Drop down your comments. I always like talking with you guys. If you're new to my channel, most definitely hit subscribe. And till the next adventure.